This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
They head for home, and Barons takes clear command. Adonis is in third, but he is 7 from the front runner, and I Say Pete, and they run to mid-stretch, and Barons is in command. This is just a matter of how far Jorge Chavez wants Barons to win his second consecutive Gulfstream Park Handicap. A 16th out. The answer is 5 lengths. Adonis runs up outside of With Anticipation. Barons has done it again.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Down the Stretch. I'm Mark Cassano. On this morning's very busy show, we will be joined by 4 special guests, beginning in just a moment with Mr. Art Sherman, the trainer of Derby and Preakness hero California Chrome, who comes back to the races later this afternoon in the Pennsylvania Derby. He will be followed by Mr. Mike Hushion, who sends out Artemus Agrotera in the Gallant Bloom at Belmont. Leah Gyarmati, who will be saddling Sweet Reason to go 2 turns this afternoon in the Cotillion, will join us. And finally, Mr. Larry Jones, who's got the lightly raced and talented Cassatt for this afternoon's Cotillion. So all of that and much, much more if you stay with us for this, our September 20th edition of the program, which is being sponsored by Parting Glass Racing, Saratoga's original racing partnership, and they've got Sanctifying tomorrow's 8th at Belmont. Visit them on the web at partingglassracing.com. Good morning once again. Welcome to the show. It will be a busy one, and we are very, very pleased to welcome back our first guest after a summer freshening for both he and his big colt California Chrome, who returns to the races later today in the Pennsylvania Derby. We welcome back live via telephone Mr. Art Sherman. Art, Mark Cassano welcoming you back to Down the Stretch.
Good morning, Mark. How are you?
Good. How are you? Nice to have you back, Art.
Yeah, it seems like it's flying by this year. You know, a lot of things have happened, and it's nice to have my colt back, and looking forward to seeing him run today. And you know, you always get a little excited when you have the big races coming up, and since he's had a little layoff, you always wonder to yourself, I hope he's 100% fit, you know, but he sure is training good right now. So I look for him to run a big race.
That's wonderful. Art, as far as your summer, was it kind of nice to finally get away from the limelight for a little while?
It sure was. You know, I live in San Diego. It's nice to go to my house and have to relax in my lounge chair in the backyard. You know, it is pretty nice. You know what I mean? We had a wild time and an awful lot of nice people, and it's been a great year so far.
Now, for California Chrome, how was his summer vacation, and did it do him good to freshen up a little bit?
Oh, I would think so. It's like anything else. You know, you go through the Triple Crown, and you're running in 3 stakes in 5 weeks, and you're moving in different tracks and different surroundings. You know, it has to take a little bit out of a horse, I would have to think. You know, it takes a lot out of humans in different spots, you know what I mean? So, you know, your horse is got to be someone special to make it through there.
Now, Art, let's talk about the foot issues. Have the foot problems been all cleared up?
Yes, the time off was just perfect. You know, they doctored it right away at the farm. You know, we had it all cleaned up and ready. It just needed healing and time to close the wound that he did have on his foot.
Has California Chrome changed much physically since we last saw him in the Belmont Stakes?
Well, he put on a little weight, you know what I mean, and he's developing more. I see he's more business. We schooled him in the gate yesterday, and and he gallops strong, you know what I mean? I look at him, and I say, wow, he's, you know, still developing. You know, these horses are the best years for, so, you know, they're still developing and maturing, and, you know, I think you're going to really see a nice 4-year-old.
So the plans right now, Art, is he'll definitely be back as a 4-year-old?
Right now, everything looks like a go. You know, I'm sure happy about that. You know, that's, you know, we don't, you know, all these horses are retiring, and Al Palace Mallet and Bafford's horse, the good horse he has. You know, their handicap division isn't like it used to be. You know, we just don't keep our stars around anymore. So I am very thankful that we're going to run him as a 4-year-old.
That's wonderful. All right, let's discuss his works coming back to the races. Tell our audience, overall, how pleased have you been with the way California Chrome's been working?
You know, he's kind of push-button horse. You know, you want him to go fast, he goes fast. You know, I needed to get it. When I worked in between races at Los Alamitos, you know, we had a big crowd of people. You know, he has quite a fanfare in California. And, it's just what I wanted to do. I really thought he went a little bit faster, and I was thinking if he went 12, you know, and change, I'd be okay. And he worked at 10 and 2, and I said, wow, you know, and he did it the way he did it. Kind of picked my head up. I needed just to see if he, you know, going to get focused again a little bit. You know, like everything was being done easy with him. Then I come back with a nice 3/4, and I was very happy when my job come back. Victor, he works for me all the time when he works, and he said, this is as good as I've ever seen him. So I feel good about it, yeah.
Art, I mentioned to our audience last week, or a couple of weeks ago actually, that I was somewhat surprised that you chose the Pennsylvania Derby over the Los Alamitos Mile, or even the Awesome again for his return. Why did you select today's Pennsylvania Derby?
Well, you know, there wasn't really a lot of options for me. The other race, Los Alamitos Mile, was a little too quick. This gave me a chance to get a couple of more works into him. And Awesome again, I didn't really want to try. You know, people don't realize that Sheridan Leaf is a runner. You know, he ran out of my barn. He won the Los Alamitos Derby from my barn, and I got a chance to watch him train. And he's a good horse. And it's going to come down, you know, I want to have my horse completely fit. I figure then why hook him right now for 300? I could run with straight 3-year-olds for $1 million. You know, and the timing is about the same, a week apart each race. And I said, well, let me get this race into him and hope he performs great, and then we'll be ready for the showdown at the Breeders' Cup.
Yeah, and we're all looking forward to that potential showdown with, you know, your old friend and rival, Jerry Hollendorfer. I mean, that's obviously a pretty nice 3-year-old that he has as well.
Yes, and I figure in the voting for Eclipse Award, it's going to make a lot of, you know, on paper, you know, Chrome's got 3 grade 1s onto his record, and, you know, and he went all over the country to run. You know, it for voting, I don't know. You know, you look at both horses coming up for this award, you know, one has had 5 wins in a row, and pretty impressive, you know what I mean? So I think that this meeting in the Breeders' Cup would be a showdown, you know, would be quite a race.
Art, over the 22 and a half years we've been on the air, I've interviewed a lot of veteran trainers, and nearly to a man they say, when you're bringing a horse back off a lengthy layoff, you cannot run too short a horse because that race will likely knock him out. I know you're walking kind of a fine line here in bringing back California Chrome, but how fit, how tight do you feel you have him for this afternoon's race?
Well, you know, you always wonder about that. You know, after his last work, you know, and he went out 7/8 and he galloped out a mile, you know, it wasn't fast, but the way he did it, he come back and he took two sips of water, cooling out. He wasn't even blowing. It didn't even act like he, I know I got a good foundation into him. I don't know how this race is going to play out. He's down on the rail, and there is speed in the race, and I'm always a little bit concerned that I'll have good racing luck. They'll all know that he's down there, and they're not going to make it easy on me. You know what I mean? They're not going to let him move out and have a good trip. Because I know you have to be heads up, and I don't blame him. If he gets the trip, he's going to be double tough. You know what I mean? And I don't know how it's going to play out, but I think that you'll see the old California Chrome running today.
Well, that's wonderful. Now, Art, have you and Victor Espinoza discussed strategy?
Well, I got to leave it up to him. When you're riding races and you're such a good rider as Victor Espinoza, what can I say to him? Being a former rider, he knows his horse like the back of his hand, I just, ride your race like you would want to and think that you got the best horse and put him in a chance that he can win. You know what I mean? I just want to have him ridden a horse with confidence,
Well, Art, it was wonderful having you back on the show this morning. Thank you so much for having joined us this morning on Down the Stretch. It will be wonderful to have California Chrome back to the races in this afternoon's Pennsylvania Derby. We wish you all the best, and we'll look forward to speaking with you again very soon.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Art. Art Sherman, ladies and gentlemen. And, this is awfully exciting because there's always the lingering question. California Chrome coming off the loss in the Belmont Stakes, not easy to bring a horse back off the lengthy layoff, has drawn the inside post. I think Art would be much more relaxed had California Chrome drawn outside of the other speed. So it'll be up to Victor Espinoza to break alertly and find a way if Bayern clears off. Don't know exactly how quick CJ's Awesome is, but if Victor can steer California Chrome off the fence and to the outside, and the little bit that I have followed Parks racing over the years, often the inside of that racetrack is not the place to be. So it's going to be fascinating later this afternoon to see California Chrome return to the races. Now, some news, and not so good news. Beginning with Game On Dude, whose brilliant career spanned 5 years and 34 starts, he has been retired. The only 3-time winner of the Big Cap in history. Game On Dude won 16 times, including 8 Grade 1 stakes and 14 graded stakes in all. The speedy son of Awesome Again was only the second horse in history to sweep California's trio of Grade 1 stakes, the Big Cap, the Hollywood Gold Cup, and the Pacific Classic in the same year. He retires at the age of 7 with earnings of nearly $6.5 million. And Princess of Silmar, who won the Kentucky Oaks, the Alabama, the Coaching Club American Oaks, and the Beldame in an absolutely great 3-year-old season last year, has been retired. Owned by Schenectady native Ed Stanko, Princess of Silmar came down with a severe case of the thumps, an electrolyte imbalance, following her 5th place finish in the personal incident last. Apparently, she's had a difficult time recovering, and the decision was made to retire her. Princess of Silmar won 9 times from 15 starts while earning in excess of $2 million. And I received a text from Ed Stanko this morning that said, and I quote, "We had a great run, and I'm still trying to get my arms around the enormity of her 3-year-old season. So no regrets. It sure has been fun." And Barons, a 3-time Grade 1 winner, died last Sunday at Old Friends at Cabin Creek. A winner of 9 of 27 starts and more than $4.5 million, Behrens was trained throughout his career by Jim Bond. And even though he didn't win the 1999 Whitney, that was an unforgettable race against Victory Gallop. And Street Cry, who won the Dubai World Cup in the Stephen Foster before becoming an outstanding sire, has been euthanized at the age of 16. A sire of 17 Grade 1 winners, Street Cry sired both the great Zenyatta as well as Kentucky Derby winner Street Sense. And Competitive Edge, whose 2 career victories at Saratoga were both outstanding, will race no more this year. The 2-year-old has suffered a hairline fracture to his left foreleg, and according to his trainer Todd Pletcher, will be out of training for about 60 days. Now there is some good news. Competitive Edge is expected to return early next year for a 3-year-old campaign. And See the Moon, an outstanding European who captured the German Derby by 11 lengths, has been retired. See the Moon was 4 for 5 during his brief career. So obviously not a lot of good news in this morning's news segment. And racing may never be the same in Massachusetts, as venerable Suffolk Downs, which has been conducting thoroughbred racing for 79 years, will close its doors come September 29th. The death knell for Suffolk was the recent decision by the Massachusetts Gaming Commission to pass over Mohegan Sun for a casino license at Suffolk Downs, instead awarding the only license to Wynn Resorts. So the racing and breeding industry in Massachusetts, which has been spearheaded by Suffolk Downs for nearly 4 decades, is in trouble. And all those folks involved in the sport in various capacities will be out of work and out of the game they love, for at least for now, in Massachusetts. It is very sad, but it's the reality of racing. When you are reliant on another form of gambling, whether it be casino gambling or VLT revenue, your fate really is in the hands of others. Remember here in New York, back in, well, about 2001, if I remember correctly, if it wasn't for the VLT revenue, in my opinion, standardbred racing in the state of New York probably would have been in a great deal of trouble. So the closing of Suffolk Downs, and again, many, many jobs for those folks who have been directly or indirectly involved in the thoroughbred industry. And we are up to our first break. When we return to New York, and we'll welcome in Mr. Mike Hushion. As we go to the break, the Woodbine Mile, for the first time in 3 years without Wise Dan. The 3.5 to 1 favorite, number 9, Jack Milton. A no-excuse third in the 4-star Dave at Saratoga and last. So we will take a look at the Woodbine Mile to the break. Back with Mike Hushion right after these messages.
They're at the post. They're off in the Rico Woodbine Mile, and Bobby's Kitten broke like a bullet, as did Enso. And up close early is Silver Freak in third, River Sevens at the hedge in fourth. Then Lockout and Grand Arches to the outside of Lockout. Kagan has settled into stride, back in 7th position. Then we have Dorset, Trade Storm has 2 horses beaten, those being Jack Milton and his race to win. And it's Bobby's Kitten streaking along the backstretch. Ansel right at his neck at the hedge. Just in behind horses, Silver Freak is in 3rd position and a length and a half off the lead. River 7 is close to the pace in 4th, or 7 lengths to Grand Arch. Then Kagan and Dorset. Lockout. Trade Storm for Jamie Spencer's down toward the rail. Second to last is Jack Milton. Then his race to win. They ran a half in 40, 7 and 2. Bobby's Kitten, Ansel to the inside. Right there is Silver Freak, less than 3/8 to go. And the longest stretch on the continent awaits. And they straighten away in the Rico Woodbine Mile. Down on the inside it is Bobby's Kitten. Here comes River 7, and here comes Grand Arch, the King Edward winner. Grand Arch is running hard on the outside. It is mayhem in the mile in the final furlong. Digging down deep is Bobby's Kitten. Here comes Trade Storm for Jamie Spencer. Trade Storm has taken the lead. Kagan's coming late, and it's Trade Storm. A brilliant performance to win the Rico Woodbine Mile to Kagan, and a show photo between Bobby's Kitten and River 7.
This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
Hey race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook and get in the game. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, fantastic food and drinks, an amazing Vegas-style atmosphere with seating for nearly 900 of your closest friends. Conveniently located at 711 Central Avenue, right off Exit 5 of I-90 in Albany, the Clubhouse Racebook is the better choice.
Missed one of our TV shows? No worries. Now you can catch all your favorite programs online. Simply log on to CapitalOTV.com and click on the YouTube link at the bottom of the homepage. And look for our new podcast coming soon. CapitalOTV.com. Log on today.
Welcome back to Down the Stretch, everyone. I'm Mark Cassano. Trade Storm, third in last year's renewal, rallies along the inside to win the Woodbine Mile by a half length over Kygun, with Bobby's Kitten improved third. His race at Saratoga really was pretty bad, but he improved in here. Trade Storm for David Simcock and soon to be retired jockey Jamie Spencer earns a berth in this year's Breeders' Cup Mile. Our next guest joined us at Saratoga prior to his wonderful filly, Artemus Agrotera, running a hole in the wind in the Ballerina. Well, she goes in today's Gallant Bloom, and rejoining us live via telephone from New York, Mr. Mike Hushion. Mike, Mark Cassano welcoming you back to Down the Stretch.
Nice to talk to you again, Mark.
Nice to have you as always, Mike. I want to go back to a portion of that Saratoga interview and you telling us about the way you changed the training of Artemus Agrotera. Fill our audience in on that, if you would.
Well, I had, couldn't figure out why she didn't run better the race before, and she might have been acting a little dull, so I lightened up on her training a lot, and she seemed to respond the last time. So I've decided that's the way I would train her to this race that we're coming up to, and I got Rajiv Murado work her both times, and asked him to work her a comfortable half, and she ended up working in 47, getting the fastest works of the day both times. So that's kind of gone out the window here, but she's just that sharp and that fresh right now.
Well, we'll talk about those workouts in a couple of moments, but first I want to take you and the audience back to Saratoga following a 10 1/4 length romp against overmatched state-bred rivals. She went in the Grade 1 Ballerina right here. Artemus Agrotera breaking from the inside post. Mike, talk about this absolutely outstanding performance.
Well, Rajiv, he managed to get her out of off the rail and get her into the two-path without too much problem. Around the turn, well, you're not there yet in the race, I guess, but around the turn, he started asking her, and I was kind of surprised because she usually drags the rider around the turn when she's had her good races. But so I wasn't sure what was going to happen when they turned for home, and she got head and head with Linda Rice's filly, and then when she accelerated in the straightaway, it was very sweet.
It certainly was. You know, Mike, we don't see enough, in my opinion, we don't see enough of 3-year-olds running against their elders. Why did you choose the ballerina for Artemus Agrotera?
The timing was right and the distance is right, and I always felt that this is the time of the year they catch up.
Yeah.
You know, I had watched the older horses run, and I just thought that she could beat them. And you know, to me, that time of year, August and now September, it's like a young athlete turning 20 years old. You know, they can take on these older ones. Sometimes, you know, sometimes put them away, and I think that's the stage they're at that point.
Well, she put him away all right. And, you know, Mike, it's been a pretty amazing transformation from a couple of races that you'd probably prefer forgetting, last year's Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies and the Acorn, to 2 sensational performances at Saratoga. Mike, in addition to lightening up on her training, anything else that you can attribute to that dramatic turnaround for her?
No, I really can't. You'd be surprised about how little we know about these horses, or maybe not. You know, when you go over there and the horses are looking well and they're acting well, you expect them to run to their past performances, and quite often it's just not there, and you leave scratching your head. That's why I want to run her back in the allowance race at Saratoga, just to let's find out where we are, you know, and put her in a spot where she's supposed to win. There'll be no excuses, and that seemed to she certainly answered our question.
Had you given any thought whatsoever to training her up to the Breeders' Cup off that monstrous effort in the ballerina?
That was my first thought, because you know we've all been schooled since the beginning of the sheet numbers that when you get a big effort from a horse, that you have to give them plenty of time, and the more the better. But after giving it more thought, I didn't want to go 10 weeks. I didn't want to have to breeze her 6 times. You know, I think this month, and then hopefully she'll give us a reason to want to go to the Breeders' Cup, which would be 6 weeks from today. That timing was nice. We'll find out today if it was a good decision or not.
The Breeders' Cup, of course, again at Santa Anita. Mike, is that any concern at all for you?
Well, it was a lot more of a concern before they changed the cushion out there again. I don't know why she didn't run well out there. When you ship across the country, I guess it could have been a lot of reasons, but the track was a little strange. Hopefully, the track won't be a reason that she won't run our race if we manage to get her out there.
All right, now we began the interview talking about one of the keys to her success being a more conservative training schedule. And you briefly mentioned the 2 bullet works coming into this afternoon's Gallant Bloom. So what's going on? Is she just so good right now that you can't keep her on the ground?
It's something like that, yes. And you know, the good ones always fool the riders. That's not odd, but to fool them this much twice in a row, it wasn't my favorite thing, but it's a lot better than they don't perform when you want them to work in the morning.
Again, you drew the inside post with her, not the ideal situation, with her stablemate Bridgehampton outside her, as well as La Verdad. Have you talked to Rajiv about strategy?
No, and I probably won't say anything to him in the paddock either. Rajiv is making all the right decisions in the afternoon, and I'll leave all the decisions to him. I don't think we'll be involved in the pace anyway. Bridgehampton breaks sharp. She's a very quick filly, and of course La Verdad has all that speed. So I would think that there'll be a couple of targets out there if it sets up like the past performance breed.
Mike, is it special to you to have such a special filly for the Bromans, who have put, so much time and energy and monies into this game?
Yes, they're wonderful people, and I'm really happy that I've been able to be involved with them. And I know Justin and Mary are really enjoying this filly, and they certainly deserve it.
And Mike, before we let you go, in Sunday's 7th race at Belmont, it's a maiden event, you debut a 2-year-old filly by the name of Jacaranda. She is a daughter of Congrats, but what caught my eye is she's the second foal from this dam. The first foal was Constitution. So tell us a little about Jacaranda.
She's a little bit of a jitterbug. She's a little lightheaded. It's been tough keeping her on the ground, but she's starting to. She's settled down very well the last couple of weeks, and I think if she breaks well, she should give a good account of herself. We never really set her down for a fast work because I know she can work fast. I think she'll give us a good showing.
Well, Mike, as always, we appreciate your time. Thank you so much for having joined us this morning on Down the Stretch. All the best later this afternoon with Artemus Agrotera. We'll look forward to seeing Jacaranda debut tomorrow, and we'll look forward to speaking with you again very soon.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mike. Mike Hushion, ladies and gentlemen, and we are up to our next break. When we return, Leah Gyarmati will join us. As we go to the break, the Sands Point in New York, over less than firm turf. The 2.5-to-1 favorite, number 5, Sea Queen. So we will take a look at the Sands Point to the break. Back with Leah Gyarmati right after these messages.
And they're off. Sea Queen is going out for the lead from the outside. Duff 1, and towards the rail, it's Ms. Bezzy as they quickly get into that clubhouse turn. Ms. Bezzy takes advantage of an inside post and has the lead narrowly over Sea Queen. Now Sea Queen goes up and puts a head in front of Ms. Bezzy. Duff 1 is running in third. A little bit Sassy is next in fourth. Walk Close is fifth. Daring Dancer is next in sixth. Excellence runs in seventh. Ball Dancing is in eighth. And the trailer, Queen of Zenile, in ninth. The opening quarter was 25 2/5 seconds as these 3-year-old fillies head up the backstretch. And it's Sea Queen in front here. Sea Queen getting away to lead by 2.5 lengths. Duff 1 is second by a half length. Ms. Bezzy is down at the rail in third. Then a length and a half to a little bit Sassy, who's running along in fourth. Walk Close is fifth, followed by Daring Dancer. Ball Dancing and Excellence are right together. And the Queen of Zenile continues to trail. The half was run in 50 2/5 seconds. Sea Queen in front here. Sea Queen by a full length over Duff 1. Ms. Bezzy down at the rail in third. And a little bit Sassy is fourth. And now they're midway around the far turn. Sea Queen with the lead, ran 3/4 in 1:14.4. It's Sea Queen who will take the field to the top of the stretch. Long shot Duff 1 giving chase in second. Ms. Bezzy is down at the rail. Ball Dancing has come alive and is moving up on the outside, and here comes Excellence as well. The field is in the stretch. It's Sea Queen, a little bit Sassy. On the outside, Excellence and Ball Dancing. It's Excellence and Ball Dancing. The two of them are heads apart for the lead. Ball Dancing, Excellence on the outside. It's Ball Dancing, and she makes her American debut, a winning one. Ball Dancing wins the Sands Point. Excellence, second best.
This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
The big day is here. You've told everybody. You've dressed the part. Your heart is pounding in your chest. Your horse is rolling down the stretch. He's coming. He's closing. He's the winner! You're a winner with Parting Glass Racing. PartingGlassRacing.com. PartingGlassRacing.wow!
Welcome back to Down the Stretch, everyone. I'm Mark Cassano. My thanks to Mike Hushion once again for having joined us. And ball dancing, in her first start in the United States for Chad Brown, outgamed stablemate Excellence to capture the Sands point by a half length under Joe Bravo in what I thought was a very nice performance. Now, granted, it was against straight 3-year-olds, but from a difficult post, not the most ideal trip. I thought she showed quite a bit. The favorite Sea Queen weakened to third. Our next guest, well, we wanted to have her on at Saratoga on Test Stakes morning, but unfortunately, things were kind of hectic that morning. We are very pleased to welcome her back to the show this morning, as she's got a very busy day in front of her at Parks, saddling Sweet Reason for the Cotillion and Noble Moon for the Pennsylvania Derby. As we speak, she is traveling across the Verrazano Bridge, so we hope that things are going to work out as we welcome back to Down the Stretch, Leah Gyarmati. Leah, Mark Cassano welcoming you back to the show.
Thank you, Mark. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm okay. Pretty good. So far, so good.
Okay. Well, Leah, I want to take you and the audience back to the Test Stakes. We are about to take a look at Sweet Reason. She is number 7 in here in this victorious run. Leah, talk about this effort, if you would.
Well, she ran huge, obviously, as you can see. I mean, you know, she sat back and gave everybody a little bit of a worry whether she was going to get through there, and she got your heart pumping and left it up to the last couple seconds to let you breathe a little easier. So it was an exciting race, that's for sure.
Leah, this is a filly who appears, and I'll put that in quotes, appears to be at her best at 7 or 8 furlongs around one turn. So why the decision to go in today's Cotillion?
Well, I think that she might have something to prove. I think she needs to kind of face some of these fillies that have been going around 2 turns. I think she deserves another chance at 2 turns. Last year, she was great. She was a really nice 2-year-old, but I think she stepped up and really improved as a 3-year-old. So I'd like to see her one more time around 2 turns, and it might work out that she is just a 1-turn filly, and that's really her best game. I think she deserves a chance. I'd like to see what she does against Untappable. I know that's certainly right now the nicest 3-year-old in the country, and I think that now would be the time to see what kind of filly Sweet Reason is, if she can step up and have several different talents, not just 1 turn, 7/8 to a mile. So
she's by Street Sense, who obviously could get a route of ground. Leah, how much do you think in her 2-turn races she's been compromised by the early pace?
Well, she certainly, in the Gazelle, she was compromised, I think. There wasn't much of a pace. The horse on the lead had it her way. We kind of laid a little closer than we would normally lay because that's just was the pace scenario, and she didn't have the kind of kick that she shows normally. The Breeders' Cup it was fair, but she made a very huge move, and maybe a little early where she flattened out a little at the end, but she still only got beat a couple of lengths. So I don't think she was shamed there. I thought she ran a very good race. So I think pace makes a difference, and I think our position and when the rider times his move, you know, when he lets her run, I think that's key too. Can't move too soon because she has that burst, and you have to time it properly.
How did she come out of the test, and how's she been training up to today's Cotillion?
Really, really well. I mean, every race this year, she's kind of come out of it like she the same way she went into it. I do think that facing the races, even though she seems to come out of each race on the top of her game. Spacing the races a little further apart seems to help her. But she really came out of it well, and her works have been really good. Her last work was great. I can't complain about anything. I can't ask her to do more.
You sent her to the Belmont training track for that 7/8 work. Now, as I understand it, that was around 2 turns. Talk about it.
Right, the training track is a 1 mile wire to wire. 7/8 pole kind of is into the turn. So she broke off and she was going into the turn. She actually breezed with Noble Moon, and she kind of pulled away from him the first part, and she stayed there. I mean, she was on the muscle the whole way around, and then just finished, like opened up, like finished with a real kick. I really just wanted her to learn to settle around the first turn, which she did. I mean, she was in front of him, and she had a pretty good pace early on, but it was a relaxed pace. She wasn't trying to take off and do anything silly the first purpose, and she finished up well, and it did everything that I wanted it to do.
Leah, will her performance in today's cotillion decide for you which Breeders' Cup race she's going to go in, whether it be the filly and mare sprint at 7/8 or possibly the distaff at 1 1/8?
Well, it will certainly give us an indication what our options are. I mean, obviously if she doesn't run well, our options become just one. If we indeed go to the Breeders' Cup, I mean, obviously that's the next spot, the next obvious spot, but I never like to look too far ahead. So, but it definitely shows us what our game is. So how she runs here will indicate what our game is for whatever race we come back in.
Well, you are going to have a busy afternoon because you'll also be saddling Noble Moon for the Pennsylvania Derby. He was away from April until late August. What kept him on the sidelines so long?
He's just had nagging foot issues. It wasn't always exactly the same issue each time, but we've just had to deal with it. Nothing major, just off and on problems with him and the shoes and what our plan of action is. But he's really come around well, and I was very, very happy with how he ran in the King's Bishop. I thought it was a good start for stretching out, a good jumping point. He ran really well. I mean, he even got stopped and checked a little bit, and he still came running at the end to be fourth, and he's almost third. Maybe could have been third if we didn't have any traffic trouble. So he's good now, and that's what so I'm hoping he brings it today.
Well, we're taking a look at the stretch run of the King's Bishop. Leah, is this effort likely to move him forward, and do you feel as though you've finally gotten him back to where you'd like him to be?
Well, I think that effort, like I said, it was exactly what I was hoping it would do. I knew 7/8 was probably a little short for him, especially at this level where you have such fast horses, and they're obviously top-notch horses. So it went exactly the way I was hoping it would, that he'd come running at the end. So I'm hoping that translates into stretching out and making a good move. I feel like he's doing really, really well. We've never gotten our chance to be 100% and run against the better horses. It was a plan at some point earlier in the year, but because of the foot issues, we never got there. So here we are, and I'm very happy with how he's doing, and this will tell us if he's this kind of horse or if we need to just back off a little. And he's perfectly fine running, and there's a lot of stakes out there. And California Chrome obviously is a tough nut to come against, and we'll see. It'll tell us a lot. He's doing really well though, so I can't ask for more on that side.
Before we let you go, I just want to talk to you about your 2-year-old filly, Wonder Gal. We're going to take a look at a piece of the Adirondack, and as we pick it up for our audience, she's a close 5th sitting on the rail. She finished a troubled 3rd this day. Talk about this effort, if you would.
She ran huge. She was inside, and Taylor made the call to stay on the rail. There was a hole that opened up. It was It looked like the thing to do. I can't fault her at all because that's the smart thing to do. Sometimes it works out and you look like a genius, and other times it costs you the race. And in this case, the horse in front of us, rail opened, we tried to go through, and then that horse was tiring and was kind of all over the track. Actually almost put it through the inside rail. I mean, if you watch the head-on, the filly's head just goes all the way over the inside, gets bumped. So that really cost us a lot. She's a big filly. She had to stop and start again. So even to be third in that case, I thought was a big deal for her. She ran a huge effort. She was certainly impeded in the stretch. I'm looking forward to her going a little bit longer and getting a better trip. And I think she'll be tough. She's a nice filly, not just a nice New York bred, but just a nice filly in general. So.
How did she come out of that race? Did she get hurt at all? And what will her next start be?
She came out of the race fine. No, she did not get hurt. She didn't even have a scratch on her. But we gave her a little time, and we're pointing for the Frisette. She just breezed this morning. She breezed really well, 7/8 on the main track at Belmont, and we're pointing for the Frisette.
Sounds good. Well, Lee, as always, we appreciate your time. Thank you so much for having joined us this morning on Down the Stretch. All the best with Sweet Reason and with Noble Moon later today, and with Wonder Gal and the Frisette. And we'll look forward to speaking with you again very soon.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Leah. Leah Gyarmati, ladies and gentlemen. And we are up to our final break. When we return, Mr. Larry Jones. As we go to this break, the Summer Stakes. A win and you're in for 2-year-old males at Woodbine. The $1.55 to the $1 favorite, number 1, Saratoga Dreamer. So we'll take a look at the Summer Stakes to the break. Back with Larry Jones right after these messages.
They're off in the Summer Stakes. Less Than Perfect. Had a perfect beginning, went right to the front, but quicker to the inside. Here comes Imperial Dream, and in between horses, Samuel D. Champlain, and those three argue over the early lead. Saratoga Dreamer just in behind them in that blue cap. In between horses is U.S. Marshal and Conquest Typhoons out there, 3 wide and 3 lengths off the lead. Then we have the Gray Crown Prince and Ethical Funds trails this field as they run up the backstretch 24 flat for that opening quarter mile. Samuel D. Champlain leads Less Than Perfect by 3 parts of a length as they sweep into the far turn. Conquest Typhoon. At the rail is Imperial Dream. Saratoga Dreamer is between 2-year-olds and 3 lengths off the lead. Then Crown Prince and U.S. Marshal. Ethical Funds at the back of the pack. 48 and 4 for the opening half mile. Samuel D. Champlain watched intently by this long shot, Less Than Perfect. Conquest Typhoon inches closer. Down to the inside is Imperial Dream. Wilson is riding Saratoga Dreamer hard. Has a quarter of a mile to make up 5 lengths, and they're into the stretch. They're coming to the last 1/8 of a mile. Samuel D. Champlain asked for everything he has by Justin Stein, but here comes Conquest Typhoon to take the lead. Conquest Typhoon, Samuel D. Champlain, Ethical Funds on the far outside, last 1/16 of a mile. Conquest Typhoon blew them away to win the Summer Stakes. Samuel D. Champlain in a place photo with U.S. Marshal.
This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
Funding your Capital OTB bet account is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Easy Money. Clearly the fastest and easiest method of depositing funds into your account. Make deposits or withdrawals in just minutes. 2. Green Dot Money Pack. Gives you instant access to your funds. Green Dot Money Packs are available at thousands of retailers nationwide. And 3. MasterCard Visa. Simply click on the link from the funding page, enter your account information, and fund your account. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Face it,
Most horse racing websites are just too much clutter, too much to navigate through. Next time, log on to capitalotb.com. Our newly designed website is easier than ever to use, with all the information the professional horse player needs. capitalotb.com.
Welcome back to Down the Stretch, everyone. I'm Mark Cassano. My thanks to Leah Gyarmati once again for having joined us. In Conquest Typhoon for Mark Casse and Patrick Husbands, who, by the way, swept both two-year-old stakes by an easy 4.5 lengths to win the Summer Stakes and to earn a berth to the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf. Our final guest this morning is making a comeback from an injury he suffered earlier this year, and he will be sending out later this afternoon a fascinating, lightly raced filly by the name of Cassatt in the cotillion. We welcome live via telephone Mr. Larry Jones. Larry, Mark Cassano welcoming you back to Down the Stretch.
Mark, thank you very much, and it's good to be back with you.
Yeah, Larry, it's nice to have you. I mentioned the injury. Tell our audience what happened to you earlier this year, and importantly, how are you feeling?
Well, we decided to that we still were not too old to ride two-year-olds whenever they came in from the training center. So, but we had one of them that decided to explain to me that I might be older than I thought. So, after spending a few days in the hospital with what the doctor said was a severe brain injury, which I thought wouldn't affect me a lot because I never had used my brain a lot. But anyway, it's been 5 months now, and we're back to doing pretty well. I'm still get on. I got 9 to 10 horses a day finally got fit and healthy enough to do that. And today will actually be the first road trip that I've gone out to saddle since that time. We just stayed here at Delaware Park, and the road trips had to be designated to someone else. But we think we're getting close enough now, and we're maybe not 100%, but we're back to 98% maybe. And so today's the day we do our road trip.
All right, sounds good. Well, let's talk about your filly Cassatt. Only 4 career starts, with a couple of gaps in her races. Why the light schedule for her thus far?
Well, she had fractured her shins and the 2-year-old race at Churchill. She got put into the rail there coming down the stretch, and therefore she come out of there with an injury. And as always with trainers and owners, we were trying to get back to the races as quick as possible. And needless to say, we probably came back just a little too quick with her, and she run at a fairgrounds, re-injured the shins again. But we were trying to put her into the Kentucky Oaks and the 3-year-old, filly top elite group. So, but anyway, once that got over, and we decided, okay, we got to go back to square one. Let's get her right, and let's bring her back to the races, hopefully the right way. And so then it even looks a little sillier yet. We come back in a 5-furlong turf race against some very speedy mares that wound up coming off the turf to the dirt. And but that did get her back in the competitive level, and then we went to the Monmouth Oaks, and she was able to step up from 5 furlongs to a mile on the 16th. So bless her heart, today will be the first time that she's really got to come back and run the way a horse hopefully should, is going from 1 mile in the 16th race to another mile in the 16th race. So hopefully we've got her, and she's not confused.
Well, we are about to take a look at that last start in the Monmouth Oaks. And for our audience, Cassatt is number 5. This is important. Focus in on number 5 at the break. Because she bobbles at the break, Larry, despite that, she ran awfully well. Talk about this effort, if you would.
Well, this is just an extremely talented filly. We've always felt like she was, and we just felt like she was one of the best 2-year-olds that we had ever trained out of all the years that I trained. I just put her at the very top of my 2-year-old class, and but we just didn't get a chance to go on with it and prove it. But this is a very talented filly. She's just got extreme talent. Lack on seasoning for this bunch of horses. We couldn't have found a tougher bunch of horses, no matter what we had tried to hook. But we do know we have a talented filly. Hopefully she's got enough bottom in her to handle this race, and we'll sure know where we stand come dark.
Larry, a couple of things I liked here in the Monmouth Oaks. It appears she possesses rateable speed, which is a very dangerous ingredient. And I also liked it when Aqua Regia came to her at the head of the stretch. I mean, it looked like you were in trouble for a few strides, but she responded nicely.
This filly is very competitive, and I don't think anybody will beat her on lack of try on her part. She just, like I said, this filly will give you what she's got, and needless to say, in the first race and second race, she gave us too much. Therefore, she come out with both races with injuries. So, but she's coming into this good. You know, I would have loved to have had another race from the Monmouth Oaks between there and now, but since it didn't happen, we did wind up giving her a mile work with some other company that I put out with her. So we got a good mile work in her. We have her as ready as we can get off the training and the experience that she's had, and we just hope it's enough.
Larry, if Baffert's filly, JoJo Warrior, or anyone else for that matter, desperately wants the lead, can Cassatt comfortably relax off them?
Well, you know, we ran her in the 6 furlong race at Fairgrounds, and Rosie was on her at that time, and we was off the pace, and she did have her. Just real sadly, she had asked her for a little speed to go through the hole closed, so then it looked like she was a lot harder to rate than what she really was. We think we can. You know, it's the game plan is not see how far back we can take her back, because this is a very, very good bunch of horses. Hopefully we can just come out of there and just let her run comfortable. And if Bob's horse wants the lead, which it looks like she will, hopefully we've got her ready to set off of it. And that's what that mile work was here. I put another horse on the lead and let her sit behind him for 5-8. And when it come time to go, she just responded and went right on. So hopefully we have her ready. Hopefully we've got our I's dotted and T's crossed, and we'll just see what happens this afternoon.
Following that mile work, and I personally love those mile works, she came back and went 5/8 in 57.4, which was 2.5 seconds faster than the next fastest work. Larry, did she get out of that very quick work what you were looking for, or did she go too fast?
No, it was really good, and especially coming off that mile work, we was hoping we had not dulled her speed, and of course using a different training method, we put full cup blinkers on her that morning to the more you surround her up, the harder she tries, and we wanted a good work. Really wasn't looking for a 57 and change, but as I told him when it was over, Habit of Grace did it 3 times in a row before winning Grade 1 races, so good horses can do it. She come back out of it very well. We just took the blinkers completely off for this last work, and we was able to throttle her down to 59.4. So now she is trained. I could not have wanted the horse to have trained any different or better than what she has right now.
Sounds good. Well, Larry, thank you as always for having joined us this morning on Down the Stretch. We are pleased to hear you're well on the road to recovery. We're looking forward to Cassatt in this afternoon's cotillion, and we hope she runs well for you, and we'll look forward to speaking with you again very soon.
We thank you all so very much, and y'all have a blessed day.
Thank you, Larry. Larry Jones, ladies and gentlemen. All right, time to wrap things up. Time to thank all the folks who helped get this very busy edition of Down the Stretch on the air here at the studios at the Clubhouse Racebook in Albany. Our associate producer, Julie Hoxie, as well as Dan Hayes. Back in the control room in Schenectady, Pat Peretta directed as per usual. Landis Burgess on audio. Thanks to Pete Persico for his help. Thanks to this morning's guests, Art Sherman and Mike Hushion, Leah Gyarmati, and Larry Jones. And thanks to our sponsor, Parting Glass Racing, Saratoga's original racing partnership. And next Saturday morning at 7:30, they're going to have a backstretch tour of Oklahoma. Now, you can go to their website, partingglassracing.com, for more information. You can email them at pgr@partingglassracing.com. But next Saturday, an Oklahoma backstretch tour beginning at 7:30. It's early enough. You can go on the tour, and you will not miss next Saturday's edition of Down the Stretch, which, for the first time this fall at Belmont Park, we've got a big day of racing. Jockey Club Gold Cup, Beldame, Flower Bowl, Joe Hirsch, Vosburg, Kelso. So a big Saturday next Saturday at Belmont. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, thank you so very much for having joined us this morning on Down the Stretch. Have a wonderful weekend and a terrific upcoming week. And from all of us here at Down the Stretch, we'll see you next week.